I'd like you to welcome all the way from Adelaide, Stephen from Affinyx. I've become Stephen. Woo! Woo! Woo!
We all start life as an embryo. But let me tell you what I see when I look at this image. I see finding out about infertility. It's the IVF cycles that get cancelled. It's waiting 2 weeks to see if you're finally pregnant. It's pregnancy loss. It's the hope that this time it will work. This isn't just an embryo. This is my daughter Cora, who turns 2 in December. Thank you. Unfortunately, this is all too common, with 1 in 6 couples facing infertility and half of parents who go to a fertility clinic leaving without a child. For too long, the focus has been on the female. But now sperm is back in focus. There can be 500 million sperm, and up to 1/3 of these can have DNA damage. And DNA damage is terrible for the fertilization process. So firstly, you might not get an embryo. But nature has a really good way of trying to stop this DNA damage from continuing. So sometimes an embryo will form and you'll do a transfer and you won't get pregnant. Or sometimes you will get pregnant, but 6 or 8 weeks later, you might have a miscarriage. And occasionally children are born and they do have defects. So any DNA damaged sperm have to be removed from the process. So what does nature do? Well, in nature, sperm swim down the fallopian tube, a narrow tube which tests their ability to swim. But at the same time, they're bombarded by immune cells and by hormones. This is nature's way of selecting sperm, and only the best ones will reach the end and fertilize the egg. So what do we do in IVF labs at the moment? Well, we use bulky lab equipment. It's almost like it was the equipment that was already in the lab and we thought we'll carry on using it. So we have a centrifuge where we spin sperm at high speed and it can actually cause more damage. Or we use tubes and we let them swim up against gravity. And all of this is based on the idea that the best swimmers are the best sperm. But we know that this isn't true. These processes can get down to around 10% DNA damage. The problem is that the sperm that remain are indistinguishable from healthy sperm. So we have to do better to remove these. So why aren't we recreating what nature does? Well, that's where Affinyx comes in. We're using reproductive immunology research to help people have healthy babies. So what we've done is we've got 70 channels the width of a human hair. So we're still able to recreate the fallopian tube and select the best swimmers. But we're also able to activate the surface. So we use a surface chemistry that allows us to bind an antibody. This antibody detects the DNA damaged sperm and captures them, trapping them to the walls of the channels. And we also use progesterone, an important hormone part of the fertilization process that prepares sperm for fertilization. And we've had remarkable results. So we've been able to reduce DNA damage by more than 90%. And an independent study that analyzed the use of both motility and antibody sorting found that it has the potential to increase live births by 16%. But none of this is relevant if it's not clinically useful. So that's why we're really excited that our device can reduce the time to less than 5 minutes of manual handling. So it works really well for clinics. And we've benchmarked ourselves against the competition, and we know that we have a clear competitive advantage. So who's in the team? My name's Stephen. I'm CEO. I've got a background as a mechanical engineer. Spent the last 10 years working in commercialization for medical devices, and 6 years running a national medical device program. Got 2 non-executive directors. These have startup experience, one in the IVF space and one in the surface coating space. And we have an amazing team of researchers who are world-renowned in the IVF space. And we're also working with a number of fertility clinics. In fact, Janaea said that the simplicity, scalability, and clinical relevance of our technology positions us to be a market leader. And it's a big market. There is 4.5 million times in 2025 that sperm was prepared for fertilization. And this is predicted to grow in some studies by almost 10% per year for the foreseeable future. And 80% of this occurs in 7 target jurisdictions for us. And in fact, 80% of those occur in the US, Europe, and China. Why is this important? Well, as a medical device company, we have to get regulatory approval. Fewer lucrative markets helps us to gain market traction. And we've done our modeling based on a 10% market penetration over 8 years and a wholesale price of $50 US which gives us around 90 million US dollars obtainable market. And we've done some financial projections, and we've actually benchmarked ourselves against a competitor, and we found that we're very aligned in terms of trajectory, so we have some confidence in our financial modeling. So all of this is based on 3 years of amazing research at University of Adelaide and significant funding success. But now it's commercialization time. So the next 12 months are all around scalable production runs, regulatory testing to standards, and hiring a chief commercial officer for our go-to-market strategy. This leads us to a seed round for $4 million that will help us to invest in scalable manufacturing, lead us to our first in-human study with Janaea, and hopefully our first pregnancy. And then it's regulatory submissions and a product launch in Japan. And then finally, in 2028, we're looking at global market expansion. So we're looking at appointing sales managers in different regions, and we want to make sure we're not going to let this grow organically. We need to go out and sell it really hard. And that's a potential Series A raise of $6 million to do that. So we now have our pre-seed round open, $1.1 million. Good news is there's only $300,000 left. So we're, hopefully, so we're hoping we've got $400,000 we're waiting on a decision from the state government for, which is matched by $400,000 from University of Adelaide and UniSA. Round closes February 2026, or when fully subscribed, and let's hope that we can help some more people have their own Cora. Thank you.
This is a real lesson tonight, isn't it? We're learning about so many things we never knew about in life. It's awesome. That's what I love about startups. You're always learning something new. I notice also there's lots of heads in the room. Every time they say something, they make some claim or they make some observation, heads are going up and down. So people are getting and understanding the pictures, which is fantastic. Now, nearly halfway there, doesn't feel like that. It's going along at a pace, I'm sure everyone will agree. I'd like to